Welcome back to Bullet Recap. Today we'll be recapping an action-packed thriller movie that goes by the name Peppermint. Enjoy the recap. On a dark night in a parking lot, a car is seen with a man and woman inside, viciously trying to kill each other. She overpowers him and aims her gun, firing the fatal shot. Exiting the car, she drags his lifeless body through the car park and opens the trunk. Meanwhile, under the bright sun of America, the daily lives of people unfold. Amidst this, Riley North walks towards a van and enters it. She attends to her earlier wounds, taping herself up while wincing in pain. Picking up a box of mints, taking her back to 5 years ago, reminiscing. Riley is seen with her daughter Carly, walking to their car after shopping while another mother and daughter chase them. The other mother complains about Riley's parenting skills before walking away smugly. Carly suggests that her mother should have punched the woman, but Riley explains that you can't punch everyone who upsets you, and they share a warm hug. Meanwhile, Chris North is at work talking on the phone when he gets a surprise visit from his wife and daughter. It's Carly's birthday and they begin preparing for her party. Riley then heads to work and is informed by her boss that it's her turn to close the workplace. While at work, Chris discusses a shady business deal with a friend who tries to convince him to participate in an illegal operation. When Riley finally returns home, she finds that no one has come to Carly's party. She listens to her voicemails and hears that the same mother who confronted her earlier has invited the whole neighborhood to her own house, overshadowing Carly's party. The family, though saddened, comforts Carly, and Riley suggests they go out and celebrate together, just the three of them. Chris steps outside and calls his friend Mickey, telling him he wants no part in any illegal activities. He then leaves with his family. As they drive away, a car parked across the street stalks them, with its occupant making a call to someone. Meanwhile, in a warehouse, Mickey is seen severely beaten. The boss, Diego Garcia, is on the phone instructing his men to kill the family. Garcia then pulls out some money, slapping Mickey in the face to antagonize him before smashing his head in. Meanwhile, the North family is seen enjoying themselves at a fair, celebrating Carly's birthday. They try to make it up to Carly, taking photos together. A car arrives and watches their every move. The family eats ice cream, and Riley goes back to get napkins, unaware of the car still observing them. The gangsters pull out their guns and open fire on Chris and Carly. Riley screams as they continue shooting, hitting her as well. Despite her injuries, she runs to her dead family, crying and heartbroken. Paramedics arrive on the scene, attending to Riley while Detective Stan and Detective Moises investigate. In the hospital, Riley wakes up confused and is confronted by Detective Stan, who tells her about the suspects. He informs Riley that this was revenge on her husband for his involvement in illegal activities, which backfired, leading to the deaths of her husband and daughter. She is shown a photo, triggering memories of the night of the shooting and the faces of the shooters. At Detective Stan's request, a lineup is conducted to identify the shooters. Riley faces the men who killed her family and picks out a suspect. More suspects are brought in and she identifies another, but the detective asks her to be certain. After their work is done, the detectives have lunch together. Moises flashes his badge, telling Stan, "This is what happens when you go after Diego Garcia." Still struggling to comprehend how her life has changed, Riley packs up her house, crying as she holds Carly's belongings. A man enters, talking to her, leaving Riley confused. He hands her an envelope full of money, attempting to bribe her to drop her statement. Furious, Riley realizes his intention and kicks him out. Following the incident, the men stand trial in a courtroom. Riley is cross-examined by their lawyer, who reveals to the judge that she takes antidepressants. Horrified by this invasion of her privacy, Riley desperately tries to seek justice for her slain family, passionately arguing her case. Despite her efforts, the judge sets the men free based on the lawyer's presentation of facts. The men celebrate their release while Riley, in a fit of rage, charges at them. She is quickly subdued with a taser and dragged out of the courtroom. Riley is placed on a stretcher and Detective Stan follows, jumping into the ambulance with her. As she lies there, Riley quickly overpowers the detective, knocking him down before fleeing the ambulance and running for her life. Later, the two detectives arrive at a graveyard and see blood on the headstone bearing the North family's names, realizing that Riley was there. In the present day, Stan arrives at a crime scene and is met by Moises, who shows him the horrific deaths of gang members. They are shown dying a gruesome death. At FBI headquarters, Agent Lisa is confronted by Agent Lee, who shows her pictures of Riley, suspecting her to be behind the crimes. The dead men are placed on the floor as Detective Stan receives a call asking him to come to FBI headquarters, leaving him confused about the purpose of the meeting. Meanwhile, in her van, Riley straps up and prepares to wreak more havoc, putting on a vest for protection. A homeless man named Sam notices Riley as she walks by. Back at FBI headquarters, the detectives are informed about Riley and the suspicions they have regarding her involvement in the crimes. Meanwhile, a hammer is placed on a desk, revealing the same judge who set the gangsters free, now tied up and being interrogated by Riley. At the same time, agents pull up Riley's file and show the detectives footage of her fighting, leaving them shocked and unable to believe this is her doing. They continue watching footage of Riley buying military weapons. Back at the judge's house, Riley places an explosive rope around him, taunting that he should have served justice for her family before leaving his house. She then jumps on a bus and dials a number, causing the judge to blow up. Detective Stan quickly receives a call informing him of the explosion. He tells the agents about the news, realizing that Riley is targeting everyone involved. Still conducting business in a warehouse, Cortez interrupts Diego to inform him about Riley's revenge, which annoys Diego as he returns to his work. Diego and the cartel discuss the drug trade, and one of the cartel members instructs him to handle the situation before leaving, further infuriating Diego. Meanwhile, on the bus, Riley hands a toy to a young child and notices his drunk father taking him to buy more drinks. Following them, Riley assaults the father, bashing his face in and threatening him with a gun. She places the gun in his mouth and tells him to be a better father for his son. On her way out, she warns the store owner to keep quiet and then takes his car, leaving him stunned. On the streets, a man walks while Riley stalks his every step from her new car. She notices a homeless person heading into an alleyway where two gangsters are guarding the entrance. Disguised as the homeless person, Riley approaches and quickly kills the men. She enters the building they were guarding and sees more men inside. Deciding her next move, she heads upstairs and encounters several men stacking papers, prompting a shootout. Hearing the shots, the men downstairs rush to action. Riley, trained and lethal, starts killing men left and right. She jumps out of a window, lands on the ground, and immediately shoots a man before leaping across an aisle and killing another. She continues her rampage, unleashing a barrage of bullets, diving at a gangster and killing him. The remaining men panic but are quickly gunned down by Riley as she storms in and grabs the man she was stalking earlier, demanding answers from him. After the chaos, Diego is seen boxing while the same man who betrayed their operation admits his fault. Clearly angry, Diego receives an apology from the man before threatening him and instructing Cortez to kill Riley before she gets to them first. The news then plays in the background, showing Riley and the crime she's committed. At the scene of Riley's rampage, the detectives investigate, trying to formulate a plan to arrest her. Stan pulls Moises aside, still struggling to believe Riley committed these offenses. They are interrupted by Agent Lisa, who mocks them before walking off. Dragging the dead snitch, all of Diego's men get into their cars while Diego watches, desperate to kill Riley. He pours a drink and talks to his remaining soldiers. Meanwhile, using the snitch's information, she waits and hallucinates about her daughter, which angers her enough to strap up, ready for another battle. Meanwhile, at FBI headquarters, agents are trying to determine Riley's next move, but their computer searches come up empty-handed. They monitor tweets praising Riley's actions, and an agent notices something significant. At her mission site, Riley cautiously enters, aware of the trap set for her. One of the men spots her and prepares to blow up the lab by pressing a button, causing a massive explosion. As the FBI continues piecing together the puzzle, they receive an alert about the explosion. Agent Lisa excuses herself, leaving Stan to talk to Moises about Riley and Diego. Despite the explosion, Riley emerges from a drain unscathed. She hijacks a man's car and drives off instantly. Diego, waiting for news, prays and then receives a call informing him that Riley was killed. Ironically, we see Riley driving like a maniac. Diego praises his men and tells them to head back. As we see Agent Lisa arrive at the homeless shelter talking to Sam, he informs her to leave only for her to see Riley painted as an angel on the wall. Catching up with Diego's men, Riley sets a trap and kills the gang members. Still on high alert, armed men patrol the area while Diego and Cortez celebrate prematurely. They watch the news and realize Riley is still alive. As the gangster's car arrives at Diego's house, Riley ambushes and kills more men. Hiding behind the SUV, she tricks more guards and kills them with ease, terrifying Diego as the SUV crashes into the house. Inside the house, Riley fights and kills more gangsters, finding a young girl who points out Diego's location. Confronted by another gangster, she outsmarts and kills him too. Reloading her weapon, Riley finally reaches Diego's hiding place, leading to a shootout with the remaining men who fail to kill her. Running out of bullets, Diego is vulnerable, and Riley prepares to take justice for her dead family. However, Diego's young daughter witnesses this, causing Riley to hesitate. Diego takes advantage, stabbing her before escaping. Cortez arrives with more men to protect Diego and his daughter. Meanwhile, Riley tumbles down a hill, struggling to get back up. She finds the will to keep going as police approach, giving her a chance to run away. Elsewhere, Riley knocks out the mean mother from earlier and uses her bathroom to tend to her wounds, leaving her in pain. Finished, Riley confronts the bloodied mother, making her feel worthless just as Riley felt on Carly's birthday. After having enough, Riley leaves the bully tied up and unable to move, driving off recklessly in her car. Meanwhile, Diego's house becomes a major crime scene with multiple officers and detectives shocked by the mess Riley caused. Moises investigates and stumbles upon a narcotics detective arguing, leaving them both confused and suspicious as no one can reach Detective Stan. Suspicion arises that Stan might be Diego's informant. Stan arrives where Agent Lisa has called him, informing him about Riley's weapons and vans. Despite Agent Lisa expressing her desire to capture Riley alive to take down Diego, Stan assassinates her, confirming he is Diego's informant. He calls Diego to inform him of Riley's whereabouts. Diego prepares his armed men while Riley collapses at the shelter, crying her heart out. Diego's men spread out to capture Riley, with Cortez leading the search. Unaware, Riley feels her daughter's presence, who strokes her hair as the men close in. Carly talks to her mother, snapping her out of her sleep. One man notices blood but is quickly killed by Riley. She takes his gun in a flashbang, knowing others are closing in. Cortez sees a man down and is met by Riley's wrath as she kills the men with ease. She radios in, asking for Diego in exchange for their lives. Diego responds teasingly, making Riley even angrier. At the headquarters, Agent Lee tries in vain to contact Agent Lisa, sensing something is amiss. Meanwhile, Riley finds Agent Lisa dead and picks up her phone. Detective Moises, watching the news, sees Riley live streaming, revealing the true nature of Detective Stan and Diego to the world. In a desperate move, Diego and Stan take 2 young children hostage to lure Riley out. Riley agrees to come out to save the kids despite knowing that agents are already on their way. She bravely walks toward the gangsters and the children fight to protect her. Riley confronts Diego, but he knocks her down. She gets up and they brawl fiercely, with Riley enduring his attacks. Diego mocks her, but the police arrive, surrounding the gang. In the chaos, Diego, believing Stan has betrayed him, kills Stan in cold blood. As the detectives close in, Diego flees but encounters Riley, who aims her gun at him. Moises tries to dissuade her, arguing that Diego's life is effectively over, but Riley ignores him. Diego's taunts push her over the edge and she finally shoots him. The police, confused, shoot at Riley, but they don't find her body. Moises contacts the airship to locate her, but they have no visual. He has an idea of where she might be and tells them not to bother searching. Meanwhile, wounded and exhausted, Riley visits her family's graves. Detective Moises, also present, allows her to say goodbye to her family. She cries over her slain loved ones, and Moises, feeling her loss, consoles her before she passes out. At the hospital, the news debates whether Riley is an angel or a devil. Moises excuses an officer and enters Riley's room, having saved her life. He tells Riley she did good work and compliments her before holding her hand. As he exits, he surprises her by slipping her the keys. Seizing this opportunity, Riley disappears into thin air.